Okay, so this part is how do you run the program? For parents, maybe the prompting level and these things are going to be too complicated to run as such, and so you simply want to use the signs with their matched vocabulary as much as possible in the house when you're speaking, and try to get them to imitate you as much as possible when you guys are communicating, so that they can connect the meaning to the proper situation. So that's what you're trying to do if you're a parent. If you are a therapist, you want to introduce a sign with the matched vocabulary on an average every 3 minutes. And so a better way to think about it is, in a half an hour period, you want to have done this 10 times. You want to have introduced 10 distinguished signs in 30 minutes. So you're averaging one sign with matched vocabulary every 3 minutes. If you like to use a timer, a timer is also good. If you just want to use, the situation that's appropriate, just make sure that you're getting 10 in every 30 minutes. That's also good. So how it works, you are introducing this in normal conversation or normal play with whatever program you're running. Okay? And so you're having the child, match or find particular letters. So you're saying, Ahmed, where's L? Almost. Here's L, Ahmed. So just running the program. Ahmed, where's M? Good job. That's M, Ahmed. Maybe give him a token. Ahmed, where's O? Almost. Here's O, Ahmed. You pointed at him and stuff. And then you see he's a little fatigued, and you say, Ahmed, do you want to take a break? Ahmed, do you want to take a break? Say break. Then have him imitate you. That's one. So the break started. You guys are walking, you're walking. You get to kind of like whatever this is, the jungle gym or whatever it is. You say, Ahmed, do you want to play? Say play. So he imitates you. You're going to record the score for imitating. Then he gets access to play, whatever. He finds that, I don't know what he finds in the play. He finds that the jump rope or some toy or something that he wants to play with is a little bit too far for him or too high for him to reach. And you say, Ahmed, do you need help getting the jump rope? Say help, B. Like that. So you can teach it in this context. So you guys play for a few minutes. It's 4 minutes, kind of time to go back and finish working. So you say, Ahmed, we're all done playing. All done. Say all done. Get them to imitate you. Go back. You say, Ahmed, it's time to work. Time to work. Say work. Get them to imitate you. Maybe start your work. So whatever you're doing, don't change whatever programs you're running. But while you're running whatever programs, whatever it is, matching blue with blue, matching the big car with the small car, matching, where's mom? He has to point at mom. Whatever program you're running, you are going to infuse the ABA sign language along with that program, right? And so even if you guys are just playing, you're doing anything and stuff, and you're just playing, looking through the book, and you said, oh, she's crying. Is that good or bad? Anything, maybe that's not the best example, but you guys are eating and you're asking them if something is good or bad, for example. Whatever activity you're doing, during that activity, whatever normal schedule you have, normal activities and programs you have, you're going to infuse and interweave the ABA sign language program with that, okay? And you're going to be taking down trials. And so, as mentioned, you're going to have 10 trials per 30 minutes. Or you can think of it in another way, that you're going to do one trial every 3 minutes, okay? In terms of the recording of the score, how to score what the child is doing. So generally, you're going to have 4 stages. You should have 4 stages. The first stage is any approximation, any verbal approximation matched with a majority physical approximation of what's desired. Okay, so you might not get, the full high with going back and forth. You might get something like this, or something. So you want to try to shape that into a better high. But in the first stage, if he's saying something, if he's saying something, some approximation, and he's doing some physical approximation, you want to give that a plus. Right? That's the first stage. The second stage, and then you want to get 80% or better in all your trials until you move on to the second stage. In the second stage, you need to get not an approximation of the word, but you need to get almost the word clearly said in order to give a plus score. And you need to get the physical sign completely done in order to get the plus score. And so you need both conditions met in order to get a plus for that trial when you've reached stage 2. You need the word said high, and you need the hand moving, basically both of those to get the plus. So when you're in the first stage, any verbal approximation, any physical approximation is a plus. We would need 4 days in a row of 80% or better, and then we can move to the second stage where we need a full statement of the word, and we need a full representation of the physical sign. The third stage is where you are giving the child a choice instead of simply telling him to imitate you. And so in the third stage, you're saying, do you want something to drink or you want something to eat? He may want both, but you're giving him a choice. Or you could say, do you want to keep working or you want to play? Right? So the difference, and this is a very important difference, between just having him imitate you and giving him a choice, is that the choice becomes more functional. The choice becomes more functional. The choice becomes more indicative of what he wants to do, right? And so with the imitation, you're kind of trying to guess and hypothesize what he might want to do, but he's not really making that choice for himself, right? So you kind of seeing, he looks a little sleepy, so maybe I'll try to get him to imitate the one for sleep. He's fidgeting with his pants a little bit, so maybe I'll try to get him to imitate the one for going to the bathroom. He looks like he might be tired. Maybe I'll try to, imitate the one for, let's take a break. You seem tired, Ahmed. You want to take a break? Say break. And then he's just basically imitating you, saying break, doing that. But when you give him a choice, that's more of something that's coming from him than it's coming from you, right? So even if you say, hey, do you want to keep working? Yes or no. When he gives you that no, that's coming from him. And so the third stage, just like the other stages, we want to get the word matched with the sign. But in the third stage, we want to give them a choice. So everything you're putting in front of them is a choice. Whereas in the first and second stage, you're just imitating the sign, right? So you're saying, hey, seems like you want to play. Let's go play. Say play, Ahmed. So there's not a choice involved. He's just imitating in the first and second stages. Okay. The fourth stage, and then in order to go from one stage to the next stage, you need 4 consecutive days of 80% and higher to go to the next stage. The last stage, we're going to score completely different. We're not running one trial every 3 minutes, but what we are trying to get is 5 independent signs from the child in 20 minutes. Right? We're trying to get 5 independent trials from the. We're trying to get 5 independent signs from that child in 20 minutes. So a score totally different. So you're not prompting the child for anything. You're just communicating with him, and you're recording what the child does independently, without any prompt or anything. So you're just talking to the child, and the child says, hungry. You're going to mark down a plus. You're going on, and the child says, bathroom. You're going to mark down a plus, right? You need 5 in every 20 minutes, right? Now say he stops there. That's all he does. He just does 2 in the 20 minutes. How are you going to score that? Well, you needed 5. And so you got 2 out of 5. And so you have 2 pluses and 3 minuses. You see? So that's how you score the 5. So you go on, you have another 20-minute period. He says, hey, I want to play. You guys go play. After a few minutes, he's like, help me. So you help him. A little bit later, he's like, I need to go to the bathroom. You knock on the bathroom door. You're like, hey, are you done? He's like, no, more. You need more time. So you go ahead, you get out of the bathroom and stuff. And, I don't know what the situation is. You could say, thirsty, he wants something to drink. So he does all that in the span of 20 minutes. He gives you 5 signs. So you're going to give him 5 out of 5, right? Well, let's take another scenario. You're doing another 20-minute period, and he just gives you 1 sign. He says, hungry, like this. So how are you going to score that? It's going to be 1 plus and 4 minuses. You see? Because he only gave you 1 out of the 5. It's desired to have 5 within the 20-minute period, right? That 20-minute period isn't set in stone. If you believe it's more appropriate to be 5 within 30 minutes, that's also fine. I use 5 within 20 minutes, and that's how I scored, right? So however many he does within that period are the pluses. However many he doesn't do within that period are the minuses. Why do we do stage 4 like this? We do it like this because we need the communication to be natural. So in the first stages, we're asking them to do imitation in stage 1 and 2. First stage, he's imitating approximately. Second stage, we need the full approximation. Third stage, we're prompting a choice between this and that. But the 4th stage is the natural one, and so we want him naturally communicating when he's conversating or talking with others, expressing his needs. And so that's why that's kind of scored differently, okay? And so 1, 2, and 3, you want 1 trial every 3 minutes, right? Or 10 trials in 30 minutes, okay? And that's how you're running that. Whereas on the 4th stage, you're only running, you only want 5 trials independently done within a certain time frame. So I use 20 minutes. Some people may use 30 minutes. Okay? To get from one stage to the next stage, you have to have 4 days consecutively of 80% and better. Okay? So I hope that's understood. That's how we run the program. When we say we're focused, and so this is a child who we're focused on communication. And so when we're talking about programming and we say we're focused on a particular thing, that means that instead of running an isolated program, we are going to infuse this program with all programs. We're going to infuse this program with the session itself. So it's not an isolated incident and then you go on to something else. A good friend of mine, I mentioned to her, I said, hey, we're going to focus on ABA Sign Language. She said, oh, we're just going to run ABA Sign Language and that's it? We're not going to do anything else? No. Focus on this thing means two things. The first thing is we've discovered an issue that is so grave that it interrupts everything else in the child's life. This is the most essential issue in the child's life. We find that this issue is so important that we can't even teach anything else because this issue is there. So we're choosing to focus on this. So when you focus on something, it means this thing needs to be interwoven into the entire session. It can't be a program with just 5 minutes. Okay, we do that. Now we're going on to, matching letters. Now we're going on to matching colors. Now we're going on to that. No, the focus means that it has to be infused in all of the child's programs. Say, for example, we're not talking about communication. We're talking about, aggression. And so because of the child's aggression, we can't do anything. We can't teach anything. I mean, he's throwing stuff and trying to hit the teacher and this and that and that. So we can't teach anything. So when we say we're going to focus on aggression, that doesn't mean that we're going to make a program for aggression that's going to be 5 minutes, we finish it. Now we went on from aggression to how to make the bed. And now we're talking about how to go to the toilet. No. If the focus is on aggression, then that focus needs to be something, the program needs to be something that is interwoven into the entire session. So we could have something, for example, where if he goes 5 minutes without exhibiting any such behavior, he gets a token. So we're keeping that going the whole session. We're keeping that going the whole session. Or it could be, the opposite, where if we've tried that, he has so much token money or he has so much whatever, and then if he commits this act or that act, then he loses a token or he loses a star or something like that. Whatever you're doing is something that's continuous through the entire session. It could be just verbal praise. Every 5 minutes, you check to see if he's doing X behavior. If he's not doing it, you give praise. Ahmed, I see you staying in your seat. Very good. Excellent. I'm so proud of you. Here's a Cheeto. And the bell's going off every 5 minutes. You're going to say that. The point is, whatever I chose, this is something that's happening the entire session. Whenever I have a focus, whenever I have something that, this is the primary issue, that I can't do anything without it. I can't do anything unless I address this issue. There's no point in talking about numbers. What are your numbers? Add these numbers. What are these words? What's this? What's that? The behavior is so bad, I can't do anything else without it. If you have something like this, then this is the focus of your session. And when you have a focus, you have to have a strategy or a program that's not isolated to 2 minutes, now we're doing something else. 5 minutes, now we're doing something else. No, it has to be something that's infused throughout the entire session. So, in the case of vocabulary and functional communication being an issue, this is a way to infuse it in the entire session. So you're just going to run whatever programs you normally run, and if you're in stages 1, 2, or 3, every 3 minutes on average, you're going to have them use the sign with the appropriate vocabulary. I am forgetting something, so. Okay, I remember what I forgot. 2 popular questions. When are we going to use PECs? I want to use PECs instead of, in lieu of the sign language. Or is it possible to use PECs with the sign language? The ultimate thing is to use the sign language before PECs. You can also say, instead of saying I want, or food, or drink, or play, or help me, you can also point to symbols in a PECS book. But which more is optimal? If you're using a PECS book, that means you're dependent on that book. You have to have that book there to communicate, to talk. If you're using the sign language, and you're pairing that with words, even if you're just doing approximates of the pairing, then that means that you're closer to normal communication, right? I mean, you're telling people hi, wait, whatever you're telling them, and you have a close approximation of the word, or you're saying the word matched with the signal. This is something that you don't have to carry the PECS book around with you 24/7, and so it is more optimal. But it can be used in congruence because, as I mentioned, the sign language is limited, right? So you only got 20 signs. So you want to say I want something, but there's a million things you can want. So in that case, especially with I want, if you have a child that is speaking, that is capable of learning the ABA sign language, I would have them, I would put things in the PECS. Maybe instead of verbs, in lieu of verbs, I would use things and try to match that as much with the I want. So, I want iPad, you can point to the iPad, or you can point to, the TV, you can point to the radio, you can point to the phone, you can point to, his favorite game, I don't know, checkers, Monopoly, you can point to the basketball. So I try to have things in the PECS that he would want, especially desired reinforcers, things like that. And so that's useful because these are things and stuff that you're not going to be able to teach the sign language for. Jump rope, basketball, swing set, ice cream, all those things. And so you can match the I want with those things. But as much as possible, you want to try to go with the sign language. So if the issue is I want play, let's get the I want play instead of having them point to a picture of play. And so you want to use the PECS for things that are not a part of that 20-word vocabulary and are inanimate objects, not verbs, and things that you can match with the sentence I want, right? And so you're just going to prompt it to the child and say, hi, Ahmed, what do you want? What do you want? Say, I want, and then, give him the PECS and let him pick out what he wants. Whatever he picks, try to reinforce him immediately, and that's how you do that. Another question I get is, for stages 1 and 2, which one being the approximate vocabulary with the approximate motion, and stage 2 being in order to get the plus for the trial, you would need the pretty close to making the full word, and pretty close, I'd say probably 90% or better approximation of making the full sign. Some people are asking, what is the prompt level? The prompt level for all of them is independent. The prompt level for all of the things that we discussed is independent. And some people are confused, like, how is it independent? I'm telling him, I'm giving him a model. I'm showing him how to do it. I'm giving him a model. I'm saying, hey, do this, say bathroom. And he's, so this is, I'm prompting him. I'm showing him how to do it. Well, if the prompt, so to speak, is in the directive, then it's not a prompt. It's only a prompt if you are assisting him in the response, right? And so the imitation is part of the directive. And so if he does that, he does that. If I say to the child, raise your hand and do this, or whatever, right? And then he raises his hand and does that he did that independently. Even though I gave him a model, right? Because that model was in the instruction part itself. It was not in the response part, right? So if I say to him, for example, lift your hand up and wave it, and then he doesn't do it, and I say, and that is the instruction, that is the directive. Lift your hand up and wave it, and then I do this to prompt him. This prompt is to help him in the response. So it's on the response part, right? And so then it's considered to be a prompt. So let me think of an example that makes it a little more clear. If I say, Johnny, count to 5. Okay? And he's starting to count to 5. Maybe he can do it or maybe he can't do it. And then I give some instruction like that as an example, then this is a prompt. But if the instruction says from the beginning, the instruction reads, tell Johnny to count to 5 while raising your hand and physically using each digit to demonstrate 1 through 5. And so if I tell Johnny, count to 5 like me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you do. If he does what I've instructed him to do independently, then this is a independent plus, right? And so if the prompt or the assistance or the help is in the directive itself and he does what he's asked to do, then this is independent. If the prompt is not part of the directive or the instruction, right, and I give the prompt in the response portion to assist him, then it's considered a prompt and a P plus. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. If the instructions tell the staff member to give a model and he does what the model demonstrates, then this is an independent plus, right? So considering that everything I just mentioned, with the exception of the quiet hands, is independently, right? Ahmed, you want to play? Say play. If he does this, play, this is a plus. He did this prompt level independent, okay? And if you have any questions, you can email them to me. You can put them in the chat here. And hopefully this is some helpful information in terms of running a ABA sign language program.